Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something I've learned from watching life play out for a long time. Men don't chase just any woman. They chase a mindset. See, you ain't got to run behind a man when you understand what real value looks like. A woman with the right mindset, she ain't chasing nobody. She's walking in her purpose, standing in her worth, and guess what? The right man notices that. Let me tell you something that's been true since the beginning of time. Confidence is magnetic. It pulls people in without you having to try. You don't need to dress it up. You don't need to announce it. And you don't need to scream it. When a woman walks in with confidence, people notice, not because she's loud, not because she's trying to prove something, but because she ain't trying at all. She just is. And when she knows who she is, how she carries herself, and what she brings to the table, you better believe a man will take notice. Not just any man, but the kind of man that's worth your time. Now, I'm going to be real with you. There's a difference between looking confident and being confident. Some women put on confidence like a jacket. It looks good for a while, but when life gets hard or a man walks away, that jacket comes off and insecurity starts talking. True confidence, that's in your bones. It's in your spirit. That's what shows up when the world tries to shake you and you say, I still know my worth. A confident woman doesn't ask, was it me, when someone leaves. She says, if you walked away, you weren't for me. That's power. That's what turns heads. That's what makes a man stop in his tracks and think. Now, that's different. Men aren't chasing perfection. They're chasing presence. And when you have confidence, your presence speaks before you do. You don't have to flash your body or try to impress anyone. You just show up as you, and that's enough. You laugh different. You walk different. You look a man in the eye like you don't need a thing from him, but you're open to what he brings to the table. That's rare. That's unforgettable. That's what makes a man want to chase. You see, the problem is too many women are waiting for someone to tell them they're beautiful, waiting for a man to validate them, waiting for someone to call, to text, to approve. And when you move like that, it shows. A man can sense it. It's like perfume. Desperation has a scent, but so does confidence. And baby, confidence smells like freedom. It smells like I'm good with or without you. And that smell, that's what draws a real man in. You want to know what confidence looks like? It looks like a woman who walks past her past and doesn't look back. It looks like a woman who's been through heartbreak, but still believes in love. Not because she's desperate, but because she knows what she deserves. It's the woman who claps for herself, who takes herself out, who looks in the mirror and says, I'm proud of you. She's not waiting for someone to see her. She already sees herself, and when she walks into a man's life, she doesn't come to take, she comes to add. That's what confidence does. It adds, it multiplies, it makes everything better. A man is not afraid of a strong woman. A real man is looking for one. But strength without confidence is just noise. Confidence is the quiet storm that shakes the room. It's what makes you unforgettable. When you stop needing people to choose you, you start choosing yourself. And that's the energy that flips everything. Men chase that, men respect that, men remember that. So stop shrinking. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that you're enough. You were enough the moment you walked into this world. And when you believe that, not just say it, but live it, everything changes. The calls start coming, the doors start opening, because you didn't beg for anything. You just showed up fully, freely, and fearlessly. And that's what confidence looks like. That's what men chase every single time. There's something about a woman who's got her own life, her own goals, her own schedule. A woman who doesn't need to be rescued, doesn't need to be completed, and sure doesn't need someone else to make her feel whole. That kind of independence, it's rare, it's powerful, and trust me, it doesn't go unnoticed. A man sees that and it shifts the whole dynamic. He's not dealing with someone who's waiting around to be chosen. He's stepping into the life of someone who's already chosen herself. See, when a woman has her own life, she's not sitting by the phone. She's not rearranging her world to fit into someone else's. She's got things to do. She's got passion, purpose, and peace. That energy, that's what makes a man step correct. Because now he's not the center of her world. He's a guest in her world. And if he wants to stay, he's got to add value. She's not lonely. She's not desperate. She's fulfilled. And when someone's fulfilled, they don't tolerate nonsense. Men can feel when you've got your own. It's in the way you speak, the way you move, the way you don't flinch when someone says they're too busy or not ready. You just nod and keep moving because your life doesn't stop for anybody. That mindset, that's what sets you apart. Most people think relationships start with attraction, but real relationships, they start with respect. And nothing earns a man's respect faster than a woman who is fully in charge of her own happiness. You don't need to post it all over social media. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops. It shows. It shows when you don't chase, when you don't beg, when you don't ask questions you already know the answer to. Because a woman who has her own life doesn't chase people. She attracts him. And the ones who can't handle her independence, they fall away on their own. Not because she's too much, but because they were never enough. The beautiful thing about being independent is that your worth is not tied to anyone's presence or absence. You could go out by yourself, take yourself on trips, build your dreams without waiting for permission. That's not being cold, that's being centered. That's not being difficult, that's being disciplined. You know what you want, and more importantly, you know what you won't settle for. And when you get to that place, you stop asking, does he like me? And start asking, do I even want him in my space? A man doesn't feel pressure to impress a woman who's independent. He feels inspired. Because now it's not about games, it's about growth. He's not trying to control her, he's trying to keep up with her. That's the difference. You become a mirror. You show him what it looks like to be grounded, to be balanced, to be focused. And if he's not ready for that kind of reflection, he'll move along. And guess what? That's perfectly fine because your world doesn't fall apart when someone walks away. You were built to stand, not to lean. You bring something to the table that money can't buy and looks can't replace: peace, power, and presence. That's what a man chases. Not the woman who needs him, but the one who wants him and is perfectly okay without him. Because wanting someone from a place of strength is so much more attractive than needing someone from a place of lack. Your independence doesn't push the right man away, it pulls him in. Because deep down, a man wants a partner, not a project. And when you show him that you're already building something with or without him, that's when he starts asking himself, how do I become a part of this? And that question right there, that's where everything begins. There's a moment in every woman's life when she wakes up and realizes, I've been giving people discounts they never earned. That's the moment everything changes. Because once you know your worth, you stop negotiating with people who can't afford your value. You stop shrinking, stop explaining, stop accepting crumbs and calling it love. Standards aren't about being picky. They're about being clear. They're about looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, this is what I deserve and I won't accept anything less. The truth is, people treat you based on what you allow. And when your standards are low, you attract low effort, low value situations. But when your standards are high, when you've set a clear boundary and refuse to lower it just to keep someone around, you force people to either rise up or walk out. And trust me, if someone walks out because your standards are too high, that's not a loss, that's a blessing. Because the person who belongs in your life will never be intimidated by the things you refuse to settle on. Having standards doesn't mean you think you're better than everyone. It means you finally realize you don't need to beg anyone to see your worth. You know who you are. You know what you bring to the table. You've done the work. You've cried the tears. You've picked yourself up more times than anybody knows. And now you love yourself too much to sit at a table where respect, loyalty, and consistency are missing. That's not pride, that's growth. When a woman walks in with standards, a man feels it. It's in the way she talks. It's in how she carries herself. She's not auditioning for a part in his life. She's not chasing. She's not trying to convince him she's good enough. She knows she's good enough. And that quiet confidence makes a man step different. He knows he can't come at her with games or half-truths. He knows she's not the type to tolerate confusion. She'll ask a question once. If it's not answered with clarity, she'll step away. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. People might say you're too hard to please. Let them talk. The ones who truly get you won't see your standards as a challenge. They'll see them as direction. Men chase what they respect, not what's easy. A man who's serious about you will appreciate that you don't tolerate nonsense. He won't be turned off when you set boundaries. He'll be turned on by the fact that you respect yourself enough to set them. Because if you don't respect your own standards, why should anyone else? Standards are what separate a phase from a future. Anybody can come into your life and tell you what you want to hear. But someone who's really about you will show up in the ways that matter. And your standards will be the filter that exposes the difference. You'll stop wasting time on the ones who are just passing through and start making room for someone who's actually meant to stay. But that only happens when you stop settling, when you stop bending, when you stop letting fear of being alone convince you to accept half-hearted love. You don't need 10 people liking a watered-down version of you. You need one person who can handle the full version, standards and all. And you'll only meet that person when you stand firm in who you are. No lowering, no adjusting, no compromising your peace just to say you have somebody. You can't build a future with someone who gets uncomfortable every time you ask for consistency, effort, or clarity. And the right one, he won't be scared of your standards. He'll be proud to meet them because he knows you're not asking for too much. You're just finally asking for what you deserve. When you lock in on your worth, your whole energy changes. You're no longer just hoping someone treats you right. You expect it. And that expectation, backed by the way you live, speak, and walk, that's what changes the game. That's what draws in the right energy. And that's what makes your life go from settling to selecting. There's a power in not reacting, a strength in being still when everything in you wants to scream, text back, clap back, or prove your point. See, emotional control isn't about being cold. It's about knowing your peace is more valuable than winning a petty argument. It's about having the discipline to choose silence over chaos, patience over pride, and peace over proving someone wrong. That's not weakness. That's next level strength. That's what real maturity looks like. That's what a high value woman walks in daily. Some people think being emotional means you care, but let me tell you something. If you're always reacting, always explaining, always trying to correct people's version of the story, you're handing your power away piece by piece. Emotional control doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let your feelings drive the car. You can feel everything and still respond with grace. That's what separates you from the rest. That's what sets you apart. A woman who can control her emotions is a woman who commands respect. Not because she's loud, but because she's calm. When she walks into a situation, she brings peace with her, not drama. She's not easily triggered, not quick to argue, not ready to throw a fit, and men notice that. They feel it. Because peace is rare these days. The loudest person in the room isn't the most powerful. It's the one who doesn't need to raise her voice to be heard. She knows who she is. She doesn't need to over-explain. She doesn't need to react to every opinion or defend every decision. She lets her actions speak. She lets her energy speak. When you've been through enough in life, you realize that not everything deserves your reaction. Not every message needs a reply. Not every situation deserves your energy. You get to a place where protecting your peace matters more than proving your point. And when you can sit in the middle of a storm without letting it shake your spirit, that's when you know you've grown. That's when you know you've leveled up. Some women get labeled too emotional or too sensitive, and they start thinking they have to suppress their feelings. No, you don't have to suppress. You just have to manage. Emotional control is not about pretending you're not hurt. It's about not letting that hurt drive you into doing something you'll regret. It's about pausing before you respond. It's about breathing before you react. It's about recognizing when you're being triggered and choosing not to let it control you. That kind of strength is rare. That kind of strength is beautiful. A woman with emotional control is not out here begging for closure. She gives herself closure. She's not asking people why they hurt her. She's healing and moving forward. She's not letting someone else's behavior ruin her day or steal her smile. That self-control, that emotional discipline, that ability to keep her peace no matter what, that's what makes her powerful. That's what makes her unforgettable. And when a man sees a woman like that, he knows he has to come correct. He can't manipulate her with silence. He can't push her buttons just to get a reaction. She's not moved by games. She's not pressed by delays. She's not shaken by confusion. She knows who she is, and she knows that peace of mind is the real prize. She's not fighting for attention. She's too focused on protecting her energy. And when a woman values her energy that much, she doesn't entertain chaos. She doesn't stay in spaces that disturb her peace. She simply exits gracefully, without a word. And that silence says more than any argument ever could. Men change women who make them feel calm, not stressed, not confused, not constantly on edge. A peaceful woman, a woman in control of her emotions, is the woman who stands out because she's not out here trying to be right. She's focused on being whole. And that quiet strength, that emotional maturity, that peace she walks in every day, that's what makes her different. That's what makes her valuable. That's what makes her worth chasing. There's something that can't be faked, can't be taught overnight, and can't be ignored when someone sees it. That's unbothered energy. It's the way a woman carries herself, like nothing petty can touch her. It's the way she doesn't flinch when someone tries to throw shade, stir drama, or get her out of character. A woman with unbothered energy doesn't get dragged into mess. She sees it coming a mile away and steps right over it. That kind of calm, that kind of poise, that kind of I'm not pressed energy, that's powerful. That's rare. And yes, that's attractive. When a woman knows who she is, she doesn't need to clap back at every comment. She doesn't get triggered by every little thing somebody says or does. You know why? Because her peace is expensive, and she doesn't give it away to just anybody. She doesn't let her emotions be played like a piano. She's not jumping into every fire. She's the kind of woman who makes silence feel loud, not because she doesn't have anything to say, but because she chooses not to waste her voice on things beneath her. That's the kind of energy that turns heads. Men watch it and think she's different. Because when most people are loud, reactive, and defensive, here she is, calm, collected, unmoved. She knows the difference between things that deserve her attention and things that just want to steal her time. And when a man sees that, he knows he can't shake her with childish games. He can't make her jealous, can't bait her into arguing, can't throw her off balance. She's steady, she's focused, she's living in her peace, and that, more than anything, makes her stand out. People confuse being unbothered with not caring, but that's not it. A woman with unbothered energy cares deeply about herself, her peace, her goals, her values. That's exactly why she doesn't let just anything in. She's protective of her space. She's intentional about her energy. And that kind of emotional intelligence, that's not just beautiful, it's magnetic. A man who's used to drama will either rise to meet her level or he'll fade out because she doesn't feed his chaos. It's not that she doesn't notice the nonsense, it's that she doesn't respond to it. She sees it, understands it, and then chooses peace. That choice over and over again becomes her power. Because people lose control when they react to everything. But when you can look nonsense in the face and say nothing, when you can walk away without a second glance, when you can choose silence and self-respect, that's real control. That's self-mastery. You want to know what a high-value woman looks like? Watch how she responds when things don't go her way. Watch how she moves when someone disrespects her. She doesn't break down. She doesn't go on social media rants. She doesn't try to get revenge. She just moves different. She moves in silence. She moves with dignity. And that kind of grace is unforgettable. Men respect that. Men are drawn to that because it shows she's not controlled by other people. She's in control of herself. That unbothered energy makes a man feel both safe and challenged. Safe because she's not bringing chaos into his world. Challenged because he knows he can't play with her emotions and expect a reaction. She doesn't need to fight to prove anything. She's already proven enough just by how she carries herself. She's the woman who can walk away with her head high, never looking back, and still be the one they can't forget. Because when you're unbothered, you hold the power, you hold the peace. And that peace, that's what makes you unforgettable. That's what makes men chase you. Not because they feel like they can control you, but because they know they can't. There's something powerful about a woman who doesn't tell you everything. A woman who doesn't lay all her cards on a table. A woman who lets you wonder a little, lets you guess, keeps you thinking. That mystery, that's not a game. That's presence, that's wisdom, that's confidence, and that's exactly what keeps a man curious. When you're not easy to read, when you don't give away your whole story, in the first 5 minutes, you become unforgettable. You stay on his mind, not because you're trying to, but because he can't help it. People talk a lot about being open, being vulnerable, and yes, those things matter in the right time and space, but mystery is about timing. It's about knowing that you don't owe anyone immediate access to your thoughts, your feelings, or your plans. It's about understanding that not everyone deserves to know your next move. And when you walk in that, you carry a kind of quiet confidence that says, I know who I am. You'll learn when you've earned it. That keeps a man coming back, that keeps him engaged. Men are natural problem solvers. When they feel like they figured you out too quickly, they lose interest. But when you hold your space, when you stay centered, when you leave a little to the imagination, now you've activated his curiosity. And not in a manipulative way, in a way that says, I'm not here to entertain you, I'm here to live my life. That kind of independence wrapped in a little mystery, that's magnetic. When a woman talks less and observes more, she starts to learn who's really listening. She starts to see who shows up not just for the moment, but for the process. And that mystery, that subtle silence, filters out the ones who are only there for the thrill and reveals the ones who are truly ready for something real. Because if a man loses interest just because you didn't reveal everything at once, then he wasn't built for the long haul. He was just looking for quick access, not real connection. Mystery doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means you've got depth and you don't throw your depth around casually. You're not posting every emotion online. You're not announcing every move before it happens. You're not explaining your silence. You let people wonder. You let them think. You let them feel the absence when you don't show up. And that space, that silence, that's where the mystery speaks loudest. A woman who's a little unreadable, a little unpredictable holds power. Because the moment someone feels like they can predict your every word, every step, every feeling, they stop paying attention. But when you're not so easy to label, when you stay evolving, when you keep a part of yourself just for you, now they lean in. Now they listen harder. Now they look deeper. That curiosity you stir in someone, that becomes connection. That becomes intrigue. That's how a man starts thinking about you even when you're not around. You don't need to post every move to prove you're living. You don't need to respond fast to show you care. You don't need to tell your whole story for someone to see your value. You just need to live in a way that shows you know yourself. Because the real mystery isn't what you hide, it's what you protect. It's knowing you're not for everyone and you're not trying to be. It's knowing you've got layers and only the deserving get to see the core. That kind of presence is unforgettable. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be real, selective, and in control. Because when a woman knows her worth and carries it with quiet confidence, she doesn't need to chase attention. Attention follows her. And the man who's meant for her, he won't run from the mystery. He'll be drawn to it. He won't try to solve her like a puzzle. He'll sit with her, learn her, and respect the fact that some stories are revealed one page at a time.